life, your term show. So I'm with Mark Krikke. Krikke, am I saying that right? Krikke. Yeah. And Kirsten Krikke, not to be confused with Kristen.
It is actually Kirsten.
Kirsten.
I'm very sorry. I get it all the time.
Is that like Scandinavian?
I mean, it is a Scandinavian name, but I am Dutch, as are my parents. So
relatively close. Yeah. I could see how there'd be some crossover.
Yeah.
Okay, Kirsten.
And
Kirsten, sorry. Oh my God, I butchered it again.
Oh, this guy.
I'm doing good enough just by not saying Kristen, okay?
Dunst, right? Kirsten Dunst. I think she's a Kirsten too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know who that is.
He's not old enough.
Okay.
Yeah. But, okay, Kirsten. Got it. Nailed it. So you guys are heavy operators, experts, involved with the short-term rental and mid-term rental market, I would say, in Ontario, right?
Yes.
That is your bread and butter.
It is part of our bread and butter. Mark and I used to do that together. We started it together, the business.
Yeah.
And now I'm mostly doing it.
I've just turned it over to her. So I always had a contracting company as well.
Okay.
Audiovisual installations, which we were just talking about, examining the AV and the sound sound cushioning in this room, or the acoustics. So I always did that, and then we also started the property management company. So we ran that together for quite a while. I now shut down my install company, and I took a job with a client actually, doing as a project manager. So just the timing was right. And so we still run the property management company, but it's mostly Kirsten who does that. And I just kind of sit in the background. And
And this is all short-term and mid-term rentals or any long-term rentals?
Yeah, I do have quite a few long-term rentals. And I think, the last time we were on, we were really talking about the mid-term. And we've shifted mostly from short-term to mid-term now. And maybe 5 years ago, we were already thinking this might happen. We had our own rental property in Hamilton that we were doing short-term. And then COVID happened and everything changed, of course. And then we started doing mid-term at that time and kind of started thinking more and more about it, wrote a book about it. And then, we have seen changes to just the bylaws in Hamilton in particular. I know that's the same in Toronto and many other jurisdictions in Ontario. But we kind of saw the writing on the wall for short-term rentals.
Okay.
That there probably wasn't too much of a future there. Because the cities are making it really difficult to run an Airbnb. So we kind of thought, the midterm is probably the future. And we kind of slowly started just changing all our short-term to midterm. Mm-hmm. So I think maybe the only short-term I have are ones where the owners live in the property.
So those are still allowed?
So there's maybe... I might have just two. So those are that's in Hamilton anyways. I can't really speak for other places, but.
So what was the specific bylaw change in Hamilton?
So they've completely cracked down on short-term rentals, and there are stipulations. So you can only run a short-term rental in your primary residence. You have to live in that residence, either if it's an upstairs apartment or an ADU, or you're living in the basement, you can rent out the main floor, but that's it. You cannot rent out a secondary,
And what's their reasoning behind that?
I think they want to increase housing. I think that's, the popular thing to say. They want to increase housing, so they think that that's the way to do it.
So that's the main reason for all these municipalities?
Yeah, I think so.
That's it's low-hanging fruit, right? So we went to City Hall with when they're looking at this, introducing this legislation. And with a number of other operators, short-term rental owners, and we had our chance to speak, and we're able to actually have some changes, some of the more onerous proposals removed. So that was good, but they still restricted it to to owner-occupied residences. So the reasoning behind it is that they want to increase housing rental stock. Right, and this has been the same for wherever this has been introduced. And so, we're talking about pretty well every major municipality in Ontario. And this is what Kirsten was saying. We kind of saw the writing on the wall a while ago, right?
Was Toronto the first one?
Yeah.
And everybody started kind of copying it?
The first big one in Canada. Vancouver followed soon after. So,
and zero is allowed unless it's owner-occupied.
Yeah. Now, you'll see there's still there's still a number out there, but that number has finally started to drop, right? So we also do the Airbnb class here, or the short-term rental class here on at Rockstar or for Rockstar. So I kind of track the number of short-term rentals in a couple markets. So we look at Toronto and Hamilton. And so initially, Toronto, 2017, I think 2018 is when they introduced legislation similar to what Hamilton has. So just principal residents only. And we actually saw the number of short-term rentals spike up over that time, right? So they had the rules. They didn't enforce them very well. Now they've gotten a lot smarter. There's more software and resources at their disposal. And this is a trend we're seeing through many municipalities, so Hamilton included.
Can't they just go on Airbnb, the bylaw officers?
They do.
And then just find, these homes?
Yeah, that's how
Is that how they're catching people?
Yeah.
You can't just go on Airbnb and get the address of a home, though, right? So there are sophisticated data scraping tools.
And you think they're using them?
Oh, I know they are. There are some that are aimed specifically at municipalities, at cities, to help them determine where these rentals are. And so even just anecdotally, we've seen that in Hamilton as well. They introduced the legislation. They didn't enforce it for a year, probably 2 years. They also had the cyber incident, right, where they had all their data stolen, so that didn't help. But we're watching this. We're advising our clients saying, like, you've probably got a runway of a year or 2 years to comply with this legislation, and then either shut it down, convert to midterm, convert to long term, and that is in fact what happened. So they're getting their act together. There's a lot more data tools available, which is interesting because short-term rental hosts have been using similar data tools to determine nightly rates and things like that for a long time. So it was kind of inevitable that it came to that. But yeah, getting back to your question, the reason most cities are doing this is so that it looks like they're doing something about affordability. And so some of the data that we presented when we went to City Hall was that, in fact, it didn't help. And there's more studies that have come out to just to bolster that, right? And you take New York, for an example, right? Housing affordability has not, in fact, gone up since they introduced their pretty draconian short-term rental regulation. Vancouver's another example, and Toronto, right? It has done nothing for the stock because the places that are generally going to be a short-term rental are not going to be affordable housing. And often they're especially built for short-term rentals. So people either are not introducing them into the long-term rental stock, or if they are, they're going to be like at the upper end of affordability, which, you could argue if
More supply.
Yeah, more supply.
More choice.
People move from a medium-priced apartment to a higher-priced.
Frees up
that
the
leaves-
medium.
Yeah. You could argue that, but the data doesn't bear that. So it's a bit of a straw man argument, but it's just this idea, the obsession in Canada that, people shouldn't be able to make money.
Seems to be a lot of that
better
going around.
yourself, right, without the help of the government. So, but that's my that's my hobby horse anyways.
Interesting. So their main reason is just unlock housing. It's not because of like neighbor complaints or just the nature of short-term rentals with people staying for 1-2 nights, having a party, that type of thing.
They'll throw that stuff in there. But that's not generally a big, like when you look at the number of complaints versus the number of rentals, it's minuscule, right? There's always a few operators that are no good, but
Okay. So how do you advertise a midterm rental?
I still use Airbnb, but as long as you just put your minimum stay for like 28 days or longer, then I still use Airbnb. A lot of it's word of mouth. People kind of know I'm the Airbnb lady. So I'll get a lot of requests via email of someone's, I know somebody that's moving in to the city. They need a place. So yeah, that's still the main way is Airbnb, to be honest.
But because you have it listed as 28 days minimum, by law can't flag you?
That's right. Yeah.
Have they reached out at all to you?
No, not for those longer stays. No.
Okay. And this has always been the way of advertising midterm rentals, Airbnb?
For the most part. There's a bunch of other platforms, but they're not as
so we're
popular.
connected with a number of other operators. And so like in the past, it was just corporate rentals, right?
Yeah.
But that would typically be for like a C-level executive. It'd be more luxury kind of housing, right?
And where would they find those?
So there were companies that that offered that, and then they would advertise like Google SEO, all that kind of stuff, right?
Got it.
So we've looked at running Google ads, running Facebook ads, all that kind of thing. The best bang for our buck still comes from Airbnb, which is interesting. And we're seeing, greater adoption of Airbnb by customers that may have used something else before. So insurance companies is one, right? There's platforms that specifically cater to insurance companies that we're listed with. Not a lot of traction there. Some interest some of the time, but now we're seeing insurance adjusters are just going on Airbnb. And they'll just message you saying, hey, we need a place for our client for X number of days or whatever. And we've seen much more, just on the insurance side of things, much more uptake from insurance claims on Airbnb than any other platform or operator that we've listed with. So
would you still be on Facebook Marketplace or MLS, or it's not really worth it?
No, I have tried Facebook Marketplace for the midterm and sometimes short term as well, but you're just reaching the wrong audience.
Yeah,
I
people are
find.
looking mainly for long term.
Yeah. So most of the times, people are like, "Oh, it's furnished. No, I'm not interested." It's just not the right audience. People aren't looking on those places for short or midterms.
Yeah, and midterm rental always has to be furnished?
I would think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
it should be. If you think of people that are using midterm, you'll have, so insurance claims are a big one. And for that, like Facebook ads don't really help because it's a one-time kind of thing. You're not like building a target audience and then marketing to them consistently. This is somebody who had a fire or a flood, and they're going to use this once and probably never again.
Yeah.
So insurance adjusters, sure, but that's, I don't know what kind of breakdown that is on Facebook marketing, right? That's a pretty specific niche. So the amount of money you put into it like doesn't really come back to you for midterm.
What's the average length of stay for some of your midterm tenants?
I would say maybe 2-3 months most of the time. A lot of them are new Canadians, so coming into the country, and they have, their suitcases, and now they need to find some place to rent, but that takes time. So they will usually stay with us for the first month or two. Like Mark said, a lot of insurance brokers, for insurance purposes, we're seeing more and more of that. People
Life
who
transition.
are
House fires, basement floods.
it seems like there's a lot of house fires. I'm like, wow.
And not just the new construction.
Yeah. Well, sometimes it can be just a small little fire. It's not like the whole house burns down, but they still have to clear out. Insurance comes, does the whole thing. They pay for the midterm rental.
Yeah. What are some other things? Some people who are just going through like divorce, those kind of things, and they need to get out, and they're usually also just leaving with a suitcase. So
people doing renovations is another one, right?
Yeah. And anything over 28 days is now landlord-tenant board territory, right? You have to sign a lease agreement with them?
Yeah.
So is it 28 days? Is it 30 days? You look at your local legislation, but 30 days or longer is landlord-tenant. So here, if anybody who's listening who's thinking about doing this, do not use the standard Ontario lease, right? We kind of play both sides of it. So when it comes to, let's say, an enforcement officer who might say, hey, you're operating an illegal Airbnb, we're like, no, it's 30 days or longer. This is governed by landlord-tenant board. Get out of here. If we had somebody, and we haven't had this thankfully, but somebody who wanted to take advantage of the sort of lax landlord-tenant board laws and like squat and overstay their welcome, then we'd say, like, no, we have a commercial lease. You need to be out in, I can't remember what it is, 36 hours or whatever, right? We're going to get the sheriff to evict you. And I know that has been successfully done in Hamilton, in Toronto, and other areas. Like, these are the markets that we're kind of in, but where people have successfully used just an Airbnb agreement. So we will sometimes sign a separate lease, but if it's on Airbnb, generally good enough for us. But they've used that agreement as proof to the police and then to the sheriff to say, like, they're here like, this is a commercial agreement. They're no longer welcome here. Get out. So just like if you were renting a store or something, right? Same kind of rules. So it's important. Don't use the standard Ontario lease if you're doing a midterm rental, because then you're kind of saying, we are governed by landlord-tenant board, when In fact, you're not, because it's a commercial agreement.
But technically you are if it's over 30 days.
Well, so my argument is that we're not subject to whatever short-term rental legislation is in place in that jurisdiction, so in that city, right?
Okay. So is it a bit of a gray zone then? Subject to interpretation?
It could be, but like I said, we have actually seen examples of people being evicted when they tried to pull that. If you do your vetting properly, like, you shouldn't have that issue, but people,
worst case scenario.
I think there was a case in Toronto that there was guests that stayed for like a year. So, you would think that would fall under the Landlord Tenant Board Act, but because it was via Airbnb, they were told to go.
You're able to just call the police and how soon can you get them out?
I don't know the details on that.
If you have to get the sheriff out, isn't that
something.
more of a delay to get a sheriff out versus just calling the cops?
Well, so the cops usually don't want to get involved, right? Like, unless it's a clear case of somebody broke into your house and they're trespassing.
Okay.
Like, if you're like, hey, this is my house, and there's somebody in there, they'll get them out. But if it's where there's an agreement, then they're like, I don't know, you got to go to the courts or whatever. But again, we've seen that they have been evicted successfully and using the sheriff.
So you have to contact the sheriff's department specifically.
Yeah, so you may have to go through. Your best bet is to convince the police, because then if they'll take action on the spot, and either they'll remove the person or they'll involve the sheriff and get them out. If you can't, then it's a longer route, and then you may have to go through the LTB just to prove that this is not actually an LTB thing.
Okay.
And so people have done that.
So if you're signing, taking on a midterm rental tenant, you're using the Airbnb agreement to do so.
Yeah.
Most of the time, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And for us, that's good enough. If you're very cautious, you may want to sign a secondary lease, just very clearly outlining like what the rights and responsibilities are.
And that's like something you draft up yourself.
Yep. Yeah, I have a midterm lease agreement. And it states on there very clearly, like, these are like from this date to this date. There's no extension. Yeah.
How do the rules work for, less than 28 days, like a short-term rental stay, Airbnb stay, or you have a cottage and you rent it for a week to somebody privately? I've seen like private cottage rental agreements.
Yeah.
Like what's the legislation around that?
I think it's the same, like as the midterm, right? It kind of falls under that.
Yeah, it's a commercial agreement.
Yeah.
So, and
It's
this
just like
is
a
where,
personal contract.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and again, same thing, right? If you show the police, like, look, here's the Airbnb listing, and this also has happened. We haven't had to do it, but like, they get it. Like, it's like you're staying at a hotel, and the hotel wants you to get out. You got to get out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Hotel would apply the same thing, I guess.
So, and the fact that pretty well every jurisdiction now has short-term rental legislation also kind of bolsters that if you're in that boat. I should bring up though one thing, like with all the legislation, it's made it very tough for people who have been operating Airbnbs in investment houses, right? Like secondary homes. But there's a bright spot for people who are owner occupiers, and I'm thinking specifically like first-time home buyers. What they've done is they've actually decluttered the market.
Yeah.
They've taken a lot of other operators out. So we're seeing that people who do this are having pretty good success and pretty good vacancy rates in their own home. So whether it's their basement or maybe they live in the basement and they rent out the main floor, like it's a golden opportunity for them to get some good extra income. And it's also known, right? As an investor, you want to know like what are the risks. So if you're going into a new market, for example, as an Airbnb operator, if there's no legislation, it's like, that's a little bit tougher. You want to actually go somewhere where there is some kind of legislation so you know what you're dealing with. And so that 2 years down the road, it doesn't change, and now maybe you can't operate anymore.
That's
right?
a good point.
You at least know what you're doing. So for a first-time home buyer, you've got to get a license, and there's a whole schmozzle, inspections and stuff, but whatever, that's fine.
Do you have to get a license?
Yes.
Yeah.
In Hamilton, even if you're owner occupied, there is a license.
A short-term rental license.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what does that involve?
I think there's like inspections that have to be done. The fire department has to come down. You have to show all your, I don't know if there's
Fire
permits,
safety.
but
It's
yeah.
mostly centered around life safety.
Egress.
So electrical
smoke
inspection, fire
detectors.
Yeah.
inspection.
Yeah.
Well, which they're also doing with the in Hamilton. There's a pilot project for just long-term rentals. And
Yeah.
so if you have a duplex,
Which sounds like it might not last.
that's
I'm hoping not.
Yeah.
fingers crossed.
It is a lot of work. I have a client that we're going through the process right now, and it is just it's a lot just to get all the permits and all like the right people through, and then the fire department has to come by, but they're kind of slow. I'm sure they have better things to do. So yeah, it's a bit of a process. So yeah.
Yeah, and can the city even, take on that process? Because it's a lot of work on their end to enforce all
They've
these
started.
different rentals.
They have started, but
It's the same thing, right? This has been around for a number of years now in Hamilton as a pilot project. We, most of our clients have kind of ignored it,
Yeah.
like wait until they come to you kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And now they're coming.
So how do they even find out that you have a rental? I wonder, are they door knocking?
About that.
Yeah, I don't.
Maybe
know
they're just
what,
looking at rentals being advertised online, with an address attached to it.
You know, I
Yeah.
did think about that because I have 2 properties in that area of Hamilton where they are doing that pilot project. The one we've been getting notices from the city. The other one we haven't heard anything, so I don't know actually how they're finding us.
Yeah, I mean, the quickest route would be any sort of official record. So whether that's with CRA, I don't know if they're going with CRA, but that would be the next logical thing, right? If you're,
I just don't know if there's a
rental income.
relationship, right, between the CRA and the municipalities.
Yeah, I don't know if they're that far yet. But then other things might be like if somebody is receiving rental assistance from the city, for example, like
Yeah,
there's
could be a
there's
link.
pretty good that's
Departments
where I
would have to talk.
Well,
Yeah.
they don't.
That's
as
where I
I
would
found out,
Exactly.
so I'm not sure how they're doing it in this case.
I think the easy thing to do if I was by law and I wanted to figure out who has rentals is I just go on MLS or Facebook and I
Yeah.
see if people are posting rentals for rent, and then I kind of have an idea, right?
Yeah.
Because they put the specific address. I'm looking for a tenant,
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how I would do it.
Yeah, the inner workings we don't know.
Yeah. Thinking about real estate investing, but not sure where to start? We run a free live online class that shows Canadians how to build cash flow and create income without flipping houses or doing renos. You'll learn how to find deals, fund them, and make money in today's market, even if you've never invested before. We keep the class small so we can answer questions live and spots go fast. So go to CanadianRealEstateTraining.com now and grab your seat. That's CanadianRealEstateTraining.com. Don't wait. What about Niagara-on-the-Lake? That's always been a super popular spot for short-term rentals. Is it still allowed there?
I don't believe
There's
so. I think they might have had.
no, there
regulations
are
for
some
some
that are
time.
still allowed. They were
Okay.
grandfathered in, but other than that, like no
No new ones.
new ones.
Got it. So there's really kind of a
restrictive.
province-wide crackdown on this.
Yeah, it's been coming for a while,
Yeah.
right? We've the writing's been on the wall.
Yeah, it's like this new technology of Airbnb came in, and then municipalities just didn't know how to deal with it. Similar to Uber, right? Like nobody knew. These cities didn't know how to deal with Uber at first and Lyft, and they needed to kind of introduce regulation and legislation.
Needed.
Yeah,
I mean,
their opinion.
The best approach, in my opinion, is a measured approach where you're like, okay, if we really want to balance the amount of short-term rentals, and like remember, there's also hotels who are not happy about short-term rentals, right? Because by and large, I would rather stay in an Airbnb than a hotel, especially with my family. So there's pressure from these groups as well, right? But I think the best approach is a measured one where you say, okay, we're going to allow X number of short-term rentals or a percentage, as a percentage of housing stock, and then you get a license. And like, I'm fine with that, right? Get a license, pay $100 or whatever. Even the inspections for life safety, I think that's reasonable. It seems a bit onerous, like the checklist you got to go through with the city of Hamilton, city of Toronto. But do that, but allow it. Or so some places we've seen will do just a number, like there's either 400 or it's a percentage of rental stock, or some will just leave it open and be like, let the free market decide.
Well, I was just thinking the market would decide itself, because if you go and you invest, in all the furniture and you set up your short-term rental and you get no hits and nobody's renting it, you're going to quickly have to pivot to a long-term rental.
Yeah.
And so the market will balance itself out.
Yeah, and if there are people booking, well, then clearly there's a need. So, like, why would the government need to get involved with regulating what the free market actually wants, right?
It's a good point.
But again, there's a lot of housing activists who are saying, like, no, you're taking, if you're a landlord, you should provide affordable housing, right? Which that's a whole other argument, right?
Yeah.
Where no, if you're a landlord, you're providing housing of your own volition, and you should be able to set the market rate. is my
You're
opinion.
taking away the incentive for landlords to create housing if they can't make any money off of it. Then they're just not going to do it. So.
Which we've seen. So
Yeah. Okay, what about in the States? Is it similar things happening in the States? What's going on there?
Yeah, I think in the big cities, it's the same thing. We do have our own place close to Ellicottville in New York State.
Okay.
And so far, there's no regulations in that area, but we're not in Ellicottville. We're right outside of it.
yeah.
So there's no regulation there, which is why we bought there. And housing is also a lot cheaper. So it just makes more sense because what you get for rent is about the same as in the market in Hamilton. So you're just getting a lot more bang for your
In
buck.
U.S. dollars.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. You take that big haircut converting in, but then it's like you're free from the Canadian currency after that, and you can just benefit from the USD.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's to us, that's really, if you're into short-term rentals, I would not be looking at Canada, and this is we would advise our clients as well, right, is like look at something like the States or further abroad if you can sort of stomach that journey, right? And the States is, there are tons of markets that are, like there's tons of opportunity for short-term rental in the States, right? It's a bit of it's a different thing. You've got to get your legal structure set up, and taxation structure set up. But once you do that,
Management team in place.
Yeah.
Cleaners.
Yeah.
Exactly. But if you have experience here doing that, then consider doing it remotely, right? And so you've got the benefit of getting paid in U.S. dollars, and whether you keep that there or bring it back, like whatever. And the legislation in general seems to be more favorable, right? Outside of the large cities, which tend to be, they're blue versus red. So, we've seen New York, right? They're talking about rent freezes overall. So, I wouldn't go into any of those big cities personally, but you look at secondary or tertiary markets, which is what we did, right? We found, so you've got Ellicottville as an example. It's ski country, right? So it's like Blue Mountain, maybe I think it's a little bit taller. Popular spot, especially for Canadians. But prices there are pretty elevated. So we looked like 10 minutes outside, found something that's probably half the price, but not half the rental rates. And, when you do like a per bedroom comparison.
Yeah.
And it's worked out fairly well for us so far. So that's if I was looking at short-term rentals, I got lots of other ideas for other markets in the States. I'm always, we're not actively looking to buy something right now, but just keep my eyes open. And there's a lot of markets that are hot and would do well.
I guess the downside is you're taking on that legislation risk in case they introduce regulations around short-term rentals, right? To your point about not having that certainty.
Yeah, but there's a lot of markets that have existing legislation where I would be happy to go in.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's just better legislation?
Yeah.
More favorable?
Yeah, and it's a known thing. So as long as you're a decent operator, and you can actually, it's not a lottery system to get a place, right? Some people will do that too. And, in that case, if you can get into somewhere that restricts the number of short-term rentals, also very good for you because there's a limited amount of competition. It's not wide open. And so typically the city or the town or whatever isn't actively monitoring the market and being like, oh, there's a big demand for short-term rentals, we better increase the number. It's just like, no, we set it at 400 8 years ago and good enough. That's where it stays. So there's actually opportunity if you know where to
Be
look.
one of those 400.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So sometimes some of the licenses are transferable. So you can buy an existing short-term rental. Although you have to be very careful. Like, why is somebody exiting a good market, right? You gotta, you have to have your eyes open there. Or if you can just get on a wait list and then, you're rolling the dice a little bit if you're buying a property and then going on the wait list. But sometimes it works out.
So why do you guys still like the midterm model here?
Because you can't do short term.
Just by default.
Well,
Why does it still work? What are the pros? What are the cons of doing it right now?
well, you think of the reasons why people would want to do midterm, right? So the biggest reason, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that people don't want to deal with tenants. They don't want to deal with the landlord-tenant board. So, the economy is a little bit uncertain. So we have a number of clients who are like, look, I have this place. I bought it recently. I can't sell it right now. But I also don't want to go into a contract with somebody who may never leave, right? Because I'm going to be locked in at a money-losing rental rate. Or, even if not, it's going to limit their ability to sell later because they won't be able to sell it, without tenants because you can't evict the tenants. So one of the biggest reasons we've seen is like, I got to hang on to this property. How do I do that without having a long-term tenant? Well, the answer is midterm. Right. And then, you look at the market and usually midterm will bring in more money. But even if you have some vacancy and you're sort of equal to what you would be with long-term rent, you don't have a permanent tenant. And so you have much more optionality with that property when you do want to sell it or when you want to reevaluate, like the market's better, I'm going to sell, or maybe I'll just look at getting a long-term tenant now because market rents are up, right? We've seen rents are falling, rents are still falling. So it's a little bit uncertain. So that's, I think, probably the biggest reason.
Yeah, I think so. A lot of owners are kind of worried about the whole long term, just because they're afraid of getting the wrong tenant. And with midterm, you have a little bit more control over your home, right? You're in there a lot more often. You kind of know what's happening. Those homes are typically in better shape, right? Because if somebody leaves after 2 months, we're in there again. We're looking around, make little changes, fix up places. So, it's a little more peace of mind, I think, for a lot of owners.
Yeah, it's kind of like the case for student rentals, right?
Yeah.
Like they're in there 1 to 3 years max, a bit obviously longer than midterm, but they're going to be cycling out every few years. Yeah. You get a chance to get in the property, fix it up, clean it up, readjust to market rents.
Yeah.
Still seeing strong demand from student rents, higher rents than you would get with the long-term rentals, and just way less risk of going to the landlord-tenant board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just don't have the same long-term tenant risks of.
Yeah.
And you've got multiple kids on the lease, their parents kind of co-signing the lease. It's like just a lot more spread out your risk as opposed to, one set of long-term tenants, maybe one income earner or two income earners.
Yeah. I would think, like you said too, just kind of guaranteed rent, right? I can't tell you how many times I haven't received rent from a long-term tenant, right? That's a constant battle every month. They're always late. I've had to.
These are your properties?
Yeah.
Oh, properties
a lot
that
of them,
we manage.
Yes. Yeah. Properties that we have managed. Yeah. But I've never had that with a midterm rent. I don't even think one time where I've been like, where's the rent at? Most of the time it's all up front. And if it's not, if it's through Airbnb, so I'm not even worried about the rent. Airbnb kind of takes care of that for me. You know that they have like a credit card on file with them. So it's peace of mind in that way too.
Yeah, it's a different profile, different tenant or guest profile where you do some vetting. And, if you're doing something outside of Airbnb, whether it's word of mouth or another platform, then, you get a chance to do some vetting. Not maybe as stringent as you would with a long-term tenant, like pulling credit and that kind of thing. But we've done it where you get references, you verify their employment, that kind of thing, right? But they tend to be just a much better quality of guest where you're not really worried about them not paying because they have very good reasons to pay because they need stability. They need a place to live. They don't want to deal with that hassle, right? They're not in that frame of mind.
Okay. So how do you vet and screen tenants, both from Airbnb and off of Airbnb from another channel?
So with Airbnb, speaking strictly for midterm, I don't do that much vetting, actually. I kind of let Airbnb take that on. If they have an account with Airbnb and they've had other stays that were successful, they have a credit card on file, I'm not too worried. I will ask a few questions like, why do you need to rent this place for a month or two? Like, what's your backstory? Usually if they can tell me, no, these are the circumstances that led me to needing a place for a month or two, then I'm satisfied with that.
This is just over the chat in the app?
Yeah. For the midterm, I don't think anybody can book it just automatically for that night, right? So there is always a little bit of back and forth.
So you have to approve the stay?
Yeah, or I don't have to approve the stay, but there's usually like time leading up to the stay where I can be like, what's going on? What's your story? And usually people will say,
So they can book it and just lock it in, and then after you're just kind of...
Yeah.
Can you back out of it if you don't want to rent to them?
So they wouldn't be... One of the things you got to watch out for, even in short-term rentals, is someone who's local, who's booking, So on the short-term side, we have a rule. Like, if they're local, they're booking last minute, and they're booking for one night, you never do that, because that's a party or something else bad. Right? There's no reason for somebody local, someone who lives in Hamilton or someone who lives in Toronto, to book a place for one night.
How do you know if they're local?
Town. It will say on their
It'll
profile.
tell you where they're from.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. So with midterm, obviously, they're not booking for one night, but if they're booking last minute, right? We generally will allow instant bookings on Airbnb, and mostly Airbnb. There's other platforms too, but we'll just stick with Airbnb because that increases your ability to get guests, right? If people can book instantly, you have a much higher success rate. So we will allow instant bookings, but not last minute. So there's where you can ask the questions like, oh, what do you need this place for a month last minute? That sounds a bit weird, right? And then typically if somebody's booking midterm, it's not last minute anyways. Right? They're planning something, unless it's an insurance thing. But even then, the insurance will get them into a hotel and then look for suitable accommodation. So it's almost never last minute. So you've got some time in between when they've booked to when they actually come to figure out their backstory and what's going on, right? And the other thing that some people will look at us like, oh, you don't do any other vetting. It's like they have to pay up front, at least for the first month. So, if it's, let's say, $5,000, right there, that is a big barrier to entry. It's someone who, A, has a credit card, and B, has enough room on their credit card to pay $5,000 for rent up front, right? So right there, that eliminates a whole bunch of people.
Things start looking better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's it's a good, and you have to have verified ID, and Airbnb has been doing some other stuff.
And then there's insurance through the Airbnb platform, right?
Yes.
That fully covers you.
Yeah. I mean, there is a little bit of, you have to do some of your own work if something happens that you have to file with Airbnb. And I have successfully done that where a guest has caused some kind of damage. But as long as I have photos and receipts, I will, get the money from Airbnb or through the guest directly.
Was it a pain to go through them?
No, it wasn't. The first step is to go to the guest directly and try to reconcile with them. And if they refuse, then it was just a matter of like typing a quick note to Airbnb, submitting like photos and receipts, and Airbnb's like, yeah, okay, they'll have to pay for that.
So are you doing like full inspections in between stays, where you're photographing the whole unit for evidence?
But for every stay, at the end of every stay, we have a cleaner that comes in, right? Yeah. So my cleaners, they're my eyes and ears, really. They're not just cleaning. They're looking, like, oh, this isn't working. That's broken. Was this always like that? And they'll take pictures.
Got it.
So I have an app, a cleaning app. So I can see who's cleaning what property on what day. The clean is complete, and there's photographs that I can look at. Nice. So I've done that many times where I've had to look through photographs and be like, oh, that wasn't there the last time. Okay, so we know what happened during this stay.
And then you follow up with the guest.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we noticed this lamp is completely smashed. Do you have any idea what might have happened?
And
You lead off with that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And usually they'll fess up. They're like,
No,
oh,
no clue.
Yeah, or they'll do that. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, we got to do this the hard way.
Yeah,
yeah, and having said that too, I mean, expect some wear and tear on your Airbnb, right? I'm not gonna nickel and dime every guest for every little, like, oh, a glass broke or I'm missing a fork. Those things happen, you kind of have to budget for those things, right? I always tell my clients, if you're gonna start an Airbnb or short term or midterm, you have to expect to spend a certain amount on linens, not once, but like a couple times a year, because linens will, they'll need replacing, and not to get too upset when, oh, something's stained. Yeah, that happens, and we'll move on.
Yeah. Do you think there's more wear and tear with the short-term rental than long-term rentals?
No, I think there's a lot less, because they're spending a good amount of money to be there, and I think when there's value, right? When they know, like, this is costing me this much a night, I'm not going to trash it. I'm going to take care of it.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. And it's not your own space, so like you're more careful, I think. Like you're just not as casual with throwing your bags on the ground and knocking into walls and stuff like that.
That's right. You're a guest.
Exactly.
Right? You're not, as
You
said,
behave
they're
more
not
like a
living there.
guest.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So no, I have not seen, I can't say that I've seen that much wear and tear really on a short term or midterm.
Well, and you typically will take care of things right away, right? So if there's a gouge in the wall or something for somebody's suitcase, you're going to patch that up between visits. Or if, like, I don't know, the toilet's not working properly, or like anything like that, where in a long-term rental, the tenant may not tell you something for months, right? And so we when I say we, I mean Kirsten, will inspect, 2 to 4 times a year, each property, right? So then you find things. But even if it's you were there 3 months ago, like 3 months is a long time for like a backed up toilet or sink or dripping, something dripping to cause damage, right? And we're like, why didn't you say anything? Like, just call us.
Yeah.
Tell me this thing's broken, we'll fix it. Whereas with a short-term rental, you don't get that, because the guest will call you if something's not working, or if, even if they don't say anything, the cleaner's going to pick up on that.
Yeah.
So you're fixing stuff.
You're much more in tune with the property.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And then you have to maintain it to get good ratings. So you're not going to leave stuff, right? You're not going to leave maintenance issues that you might on a short-term rental. So in general, the upkeep is much better.
Yeah, it's true. Always on my 6-month visits to properties, I catch all these little maintenance items, and they don't say anything for the full 6 months before that. The closet door is off the hinge, the eaves trough thing has come off, or, the floorboards have separated here. You just don't hear about it until you're like actually at the property and they start pointing everything out. And you're like, oh, why didn't you tell me about this before? Like, I could have got this solved for you.
Yeah.
But it's not like a major issue for them. And so they just kind of ignore it. But then when you're there, they're like, oh, yeah, there's all this stuff happening. Yeah. You're like, oh, okay. So that's why those 6-month visits are crucial, though, because you can just get on top of all these things and fix it up. And then it's not one big surprise like 3 years later when they want to move out.
Yeah, when you're doing a whole bunch of stuff.
And then it's everything at once, right? You're like, what the hell? So,
Yeah, that always kills me when landlords complain about the state of their rental after 3 years of rental, and they've never been there. Mm-hmm. Right? It's like, well, what do you expect? What were you doing? You give somebody probably your biggest asset to use for 3 years, and you never check up on it? Come on, guys.
Yeah, that's crazy talk. You got to go check it out. Mm-hmm. Yeah, minimum twice a year. Drive by it if you can. Right? Just a little drive by to make sure everything's okay if you're in the neighborhood.
Yeah. Yeah,
you'll catch
couch
little
on
things.
The front porch. Is there a car on the lawn?
Totally, yeah. Some beat up old car, just missing wheels. Yeah. So if it's not through Airbnb, how do you guys screen these midterm tenants?
So again, I want to know a story, like a backstory. So there's usually a conversation around that.
But no credit reports.
Maybe
pay
not
stubs.
credit, but I might ask for pay stubs. Yeah, and then or like a letter of employment or something. Yeah, you're working, you've got income. Sometimes I'll ask for bank statements so I can see you've got something coming in.
Okay, so it's kind of a soft background check.
Yeah.
It's like long-term rentals, but take it down a notch.
Yeah, which makes sense because you just have so much more turnover.
Yeah.
And you do have these short-term contracts to protect you at the same time.
Yeah, and often too, if they're staying for a month, right? I'm getting that full month's rent before they move in. So
Yeah.
what am I
Good point.
really going to lose out on unless they don't stay? But then,
And if they're staying for
there's
like
recourse
3-4
there, too.
months, will you get like 1 month up front and then first of the month for the other months kind of thing? Or
usually I'll still ask for first and last if there's room for that, right? If they're staying for like 4 months, then I'll get the first 2 months rent up front and then they'll pay me monthly.
got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So just try to get as much up front as you can for these.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. And people are willing to, I think, in these types of
They are,
situations.
yeah.
Especially if there's an insurance company backing them.
Yeah.
And is the insurance company directly paying you or paying through the person?
It depends on who's,
Yeah, 50-50.
yeah. Sometimes, I've had a lot of times where it's the person directly and they're like, oh, my insurance company's telling me I have this much to spend and I need to wait for the money to come in. And there's a bit of back and forth there. Sometimes it is the insurance that is just, they've made their own profile, this individual on Airbnb, and they're booking it for the family that needs a place. We do have one platform that deals only with insurance companies.
Yeah. It's not great.
It's not so busy.
You mentioned, some other platforms. So is it like VRBO?
Yes. Booking.com was another one that I used to use quite successfully for many years, but there is so much fraud on that, with their platform that it's not working out.
Fraud from who?
Well, I don't know how they
Guests.
do it, but guests, like just fake profiles, people trying to book. They're not actually people. There's no payment.
And what are they booking for? If someone's actually
don't-
coming to stay?
Yeah, I'm not
They'll book for
always
someone
sure.
else. They'll book for a party, things like that.
Oh, so
right?
it's more easier to kind of hide your identity and get around the Airbnb.
Yeah, so
regulation.
I've
Yeah,
found-
Airbnb does a much better job
Yeah.
Vetting stuff.
Yeah, I found a lot
Got
more
it.
problems with Booking.com. So I don't do Booking.com anymore at all, where I used to do quite a few bookings with them,
Yeah.
which it's too bad, but it was just too risky. VRBO is another one, but it's just not popular in this area. So I think there's different pockets where that might be more successful.
What's VRBO good for? What's its advantage over
Well, the
Airbnb?
name is Vacation Rental by Owner. So it's vacation rentals. So if you're doing like an urban rental, you're probably not going to get much traction.
Got it.
Right? We're listed with them. Even our Ellicottville property, we're listed on Verbo. I haven't had, I don't think, any hits.
I don't think one.
in a couple of years.
No.
Right? So, and maybe we need to, change something up with our profile. But it's, but it is, certain areas. If you can do, if you're researching a place to get a short-term rental, you look at the platforms that are popular and you'll see like, oh yeah, Verbo in this area, like it's a must. Or maybe there's some other regional platform that you want to use. Then you would go on that. Booking.com is primarily European. I think it's a Dutch company.
It is, yeah.
Actually. So the guests that we would get, I think, were often European or traveling from overseas.
Mm-hmm.
But if you were to go to Europe, for example, Booking.com has a much bigger footprint there than they do here. Airbnb is still big over there as well, but Booking is much more prevalent in Europe and some other markets.
Yeah. I had an interesting stay in France from
Oh, yeah?
Booking.com. It was I had no idea what it was when I booked it, but it was a room in a older lady's house, and it was just interesting because she was just a character, and just living with this woman for 2 days. And I thought that she had set up a bathrobe for me, and so I put on this bathrobe because I'm like, I haven't worn a robe in 10 years. I'm like, I'm in France, I'm gonna wear my bathrobe, and I put it on, and she sees me wearing, and she's like, that's actually my bathrobe. I need you to take that off. She's like, I'm gonna have to wash it now. She was very blunt, very upfront, and I was like, I need to know the rules of this house because I kept breaking all of her rules without knowing. I didn't know we were sharing the bathroom together. I used the wrong towel. She's like, no, your towel is like in your room. And then I didn't notice it was like tucked away in like a little chair. So I used her towel. I used her robe.
At least you got towels and bedding.
Yeah.
Like, this is another one where people will be surprised, like they get there and there's no bedding. And this is more common in Europe, right?
Wow.
Where you either bring your own bedding or if you have to use theirs, you're going to pay an extra fee.
Yeah.
So it's so Booking.com originally was aimed at hotels, and it's still like that's a big part of their business. So they don't have the same sort of host and guest expectations It's just an intermediary platform, whereas Airbnb is all about the experience, and you get a start. Like, you still get ratings on Booking, but Airbnb is more like you got to be a good host, and we'll give you more business.
Yeah.
If you're a bad guest, we're going to ban you. Whereas Booking.com is just like, no, like, you want to rent a room from him, do that. We'll take a cut, and like everything else is
You figure it out.
You're much more on your own. If there's a problem, then you have to
Yeah.
sort it out.
Yeah. There's no bathrobe warnings with Booking.com. There's no list of instructions.
Yeah.
I was in an all pink room. It was like I guess her daughter had moved out, or whatever, a long time ago, but it was still like a little like children's room, all pink.
Yeah.
She had very specific rules of where I could put my shoes at the front
wow.
door, designated
Like
areas
your
where I could
grandma.
put my toothbrush and stuff.
It's like staying with your grandma.
Yeah, it really was. It was exactly that. And it was funny. She was a nice lady, but I was just breaking every rule.
Yeah. The other thing that we are starting to do for our own Airbnb close to Ellicottville is direct booking. We're really trying to increase that. So we do have our own website where people can book directly and pay with credit card. And I just had magnets printed with a QR code, and I just put those on the fridge at the Airbnb,
Okay.
which says, we loved hosting you and we would love to host you again. And if you want, you can book directly with us, and then just scan the QR code.
Smart.
So I'm hoping that we can see more direct bookings that way.
And then you get to cut the middleman out,
That's right.
keep more of the money.
Yeah, because we do have quite a few repeat guests at the Ellicottville one.
Yeah.
People that are coming back every year to ski, people that have family in the area. So we do have one guest that's probably stayed 3 or 4 times in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
I guess they could save money too, right?
That's
'Cause
right.
They're going to get charged
Yeah.
less from Airbnb,
That's
and
right.
you pocket more of the difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
a 15% fee, right, that Airbnb takes. So you could offer them a 5% discount, a 10% discount, and you both still come out ahead.
Yeah. And have that personal relationship too. It's just better.
Yeah, once like,
The trust
this is
builds
what
up.
Rockstar is all about, right? Is building relationships and trust through marketing. And it's the same goal with any business, I think, right? You want to do business with people you know, like, and trust.
Yeah.
So once you build that rapport, then you're much more likely to get them as a client for a lifetime.
Yeah.
Or as long as they're going to be visiting that area, right? And that's what you want, is to kind of get your short-term rental on autopilot. And some people have this after many years. You get guests using whatever platforms you can, be it Airbnb or whatever, and then eventually those people become your clients, not Airbnb's clients. Hopefully Airbnb's not listening, but they know.
I'm sure they do everything they can, right, to keep people on the platform.
You cannot communicate on their platform in any way and hint towards a direct booking.
And pull them off.
So I don't do that, because I've had some owners are like, well, why don't you just strike a deal with them, with the guests on Airbnb? I'm like, no, we can't do that, because you will get kicked off the platform.
Yeah.
Which I understand. Like, I get it.
They're protecting their business, their brand.
So I usually say, like, get those first guests, get them the first time, and now you have their number.
Yeah.
Once they've booked with you, you have their contact info. So now you can communicate for the next time they want to stay, or if they want to extend their stay.
They're even getting trickier. You used to be able to pull, especially if you're using third-party management software, you could pull people's info, right? Like their email address and their phone number. Now Airbnb is assigning random phone numbers
To block it.
And so that if you do call them, you actually call this random number.
Yeah.
And then it forwards to their actual number.
Yeah.
Right? Just like, shenanigans.
Yeah, to keep people on the platform. Makes sense.
But I mean, if you have literature in the house, right? And this applies to vacation rentals, really, not so much midterm rentals. Midterm rentals, usually you have a guest once and that's it. Unless it's, an insurance company, and then you do everything you can to get their info.
Yeah.
But for vacation rentals, short-term rentals, you absolutely want to capture either their phone number or their email.
Like the magnet thing.
Yeah.
You can offer like 10% discount or 5% discount for repeat stays. Contact this number, save this number, reach out, whatever, right?
Yeah.
And there's lots of other tips in our Airbnb class.
Yeah, that's right. So all this stuff you guys cover in your class, or maybe not every question we've gone
through. I haven't
through.
done the class in a while, so that's more Mark's thing right now.
Yeah, well,
what's the class mainly focused on these days?
It goes about 2 hours.
Yeah.
Which is a long time, but it's also like that's the least the least I can condense. So it's like a starter, right? It doesn't cover absolutely everything, but it's a good primer on like how to figure out, an area, or, if you want to do Airbnb. And then if you do, okay, here's how you do it. Are you comfortable with that? And then, basic tips and tricks to get started.
And your guys' book, You, Me, and Airbnb?
That's right.
Where can people find that if they're interested?
Yeah, it's available on Amazon.
Yeah, Amazon is
Mostly.
There's a whole bunch of other affiliate marketers where like you could download the electronic version. I see reports. I don't know how they all work, but we had set that up initially. So.
Just Google it. You'll find out a way to get your hands on it.
Book Hub.
This is your life's work condensed into this book.
That's right.
So far.
Yeah.
It's a few years now.
It has been a few years.
I think.
Yeah.
We put it out, or 22? I can't remember.
Yeah, it's been a while. But I don't think much has changed because, like I said before, we kind of saw the writing on the wall for Airbnb. So we kind of were thinking already, like, we're going to have to start switching over.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was a good move.
Yeah, from short-term to mid-term.
Yeah.
So is that what your clients did as well? You kind of communicated, hey, looks like this crackdown's coming.
For some of them, I'm like, we just can't. There's a notice on your front door from the city of Hamilton, so we need to just stop.
Yeah.
So we're gonna switch over, which doesn't take any work really.
It's all furnished. Nothing really changes.
So it's just a matter of changing a few settings on your Airbnb.
Yeah.
And then kind of telling them like don't expect it to be booked 100%, right? There's going to be weeks where it's going to be empty because you can't always time it right.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see how it goes. You're still getting a lot more rental income than you would with the long term. And I think most of our clients have been kind of happy with the midterm, like the rent's still coming in.
They've been able to transition okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes I think we have one guest who's been there for how long? Is it a year now, or maybe not a year?
Yeah, he has been. We do have it was a short-term rent. And we had a guest and he's like, oh, I really like it here. Can I stay? And I'm like, absolutely. So we extended his stay on Airbnb a couple times. I think he's been there now for 6 months. He wants to stay for another 6 months. So we did that off platform. We wrote a short or a midterm lease agreement.
Smart.
Yeah. And the homeowner is like, well, I don't have to do anything. Like nothing's changed. I'm getting above market rent for this little place. And I know that the guest now, I've dealt with him for 6 months, and I've done even like with usually with short-term or mid-term, I'm not bothering the guests while they're there. I'm just leaving them alone. Because it's a longer stay, I said to him, okay, I do need to do some inspections every now and again, just so I have my eye on the property. And he's like, oh yeah. And he's been an excellent guest. The place is in like perfect condition. So I know him. So I'm like, yeah, you know what, you can stay, and he's willing to pay what he paid on Airbnb. So that's, above market rent.
Yeah.
We haven't had to do any changes to the
less management. It's great.
Yeah, less cleaning fees.
Another one too that kind of surprised me, but you don't know. So sometimes you'll look into these guests and they're paying a hefty sum, right? The guy who's renting the basement in Etobicoke.
Right, that's right.
Yeah.
I forgot about him.
And excellent guest. Wish we could have kept him for longer, right?
Yeah, he was probably there for a year.
Yeah.
And he was paying well above market rent. And you're just, and I'm like, why?
Go burn his house down again.
Well, I didn't.
You got to stay, man.
I'm like, why are you staying here? Like, is there not a cheaper option for you? But he was
but
a
that's
single
not,
guy.
for some people, that's not the.
Right. And it was all furnished. He didn't have to do any worrying about like having to buy a couch and having to buy this.
Did we get cleaners in for him too, I think?
Yeah. We did offer cleaners for, you're there for a year. Do you want we'll pay for the cleaner. It's not a big deal, right? Like if we want to send a cleaner every couple of months, and he was like, oh, that would be nice. Yeah. So we were happy to do that for him.
Yeah, the relationship can change when somebody's paying top dollar.
Yeah.
All of a sudden we can offer a lot more stuff here. Yeah. Okay, so what's the future for you guys? Do you think you'll expand more into the US with your own investing, more short-term rental stuff down there, lay low for a bit, keep obviously working with clients here? What are you guys thinking?
I want to keep working
I haven't
with
told
her.
her yet.
Okay, so I don't know what he's got planned. Well, because it's just me right now.
Yeah.
I am kind of, I don't think I can take on any new tenants or new clients. Sorry, I think I'm at my
max.
At my max. Yeah. So I'm happy with the clients that I have, and I'm happy to work with them. And for some of them, we're doing short term, some are midterm, some are long term. That might change.
Primarily in Hamilton?
Yeah. Hamilton. Yeah. I think Hamilton mostly. I think I have one in Etobicoke.
Milton, Etobicoke.
Yeah. But those are all, I'm hands off. Like I'm not going to those properties. And that was always the arrangement that and those are Airbnbs midterm, that I would do all, the management of the property from a distance.
Yeah.
Remotely. So I make sure that the listing is updated, communicate with the tenants, get the cleaners in. If there's any problems, communicate that with the homeowner.
Got it.
Because they're the ones now that are going to do like the repairs or arrange for repairs. I'm just strictly doing the Airbnb side of it. Yeah, but there might be some talk about whether or not some of those midterms might turn long term or we'll see.
And I think for speaking for Kirsten, but like we have some clients who may acquire more properties. We'll probably would take those on for them, right?
Yeah.
Just keep that relationship. Like why not? But so there's that. I mean, this is like she's frustrated sometimes. I mean, as you would be, right, dealing with rentals, right, long tenants, right, you'll go through the same stuff. Like, why are people so stupid? Like, come on. But then you realize, like, in pretty well every other area of life, you get the same thing, right? If you want to get good value for yourself, you got to create solutions for people, right? Solve problems. That's essentially what we're doing, or what Kirsten is doing, is just solving problems for people. So it's a little frustrating, but it is... like it works with our lifestyle, right? We've got 4 young kids at home, so she's able to do this. Maybe she could be a nurse, but I think that would be...
I was a nurse.
She was a nurse. She could be.
I do think that I could be working 12-hour shifts. I could be working, over the weekend, nights, and holidays, and I'd really rather not do that. I want to be home. I want to be home when the kids come off the bus. I want to get them on the bus. If I need to go on a field trip, I can.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of flexibility. And as Mark said, sometimes you can get frustrated, right? When a tenant's calling you about an emergency on a Sunday night and you're like, well, it's not really an emergency, but that's what I'm getting paid for. I'm getting paid to be that person where everything is dumped on so that the homeowner doesn't have to worry about it. That's why I'm there.
Exactly.
So other than that, we're kind of laying low. I mean, kids are young. We're really focusing on like family.
Yeah, 4 kids.
Stuff.
No kidding.
And any other real estate investing would be in the States.
Yeah.
We've got a condo in Niagara Falls that has been a bit of a journey, right? It went into receivership. It got bought. So we had some money invested there. So we're waiting to kind of see what happens. They're not going to meet their date. So maybe we take that out and put it either into real estate in the States. We're looking at...
This is a pre-con that they're no longer building?
They aren't, but the new owners intend to.
Got it.
So we'll see what happens. I think at this point we're kind of done. This was to be I would never advise anyone to buy pre-con, but this was going to be an Airbnb. It's zoned for Airbnb, Niagara Falls, and decent market, right?
Got it.
We're kind of over that now. But anyway, so that could go into the States. Could also go into Bitcoin, right? We're not all 100% everything's real estate.
Yeah.
Especially working in real estate. Like sometimes you just have enough.
Yeah, that's fair.
So
emotionally, sometimes it's just enough. Yeah.
So there's got to be room for Bitcoin too.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, Bitcoin's not going to call me up in the middle of the night to see their toilets flush. Not
That's
flushing.
a good point. That's a good point. No, it's not. Okay, cool, guys. Well, I really appreciate you coming in and doing this, for sharing everything. This has been eye-opening for me because I don't really follow this market too closely. I've attended your class a while ago, but it's been a while. So thanks for the update on all this. And if anybody wants to reach out, do we want to share contact information or anything?
No, don't.
Okay, lock it down.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
No, joyhill.ca. is
Okay.
Probably the best way to get in touch with us.
Yeah. Okay.
JOYHILL.ca.
Yeah. And if you're a Rockstar member, come out to your class if you haven't already.
There you go.
Exactly.
Yeah. Airbnb and, what do we call it? Airbnb and midterm rentals class, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thanks, guys. It's a pleasure. Yeah. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks,
you. Man. Take care.